Hello friends, welcome to this video which is all about On1 Photo Raw 2024. It's the new version that is just out, and this is my beginner's guide, kind of getting started video about how to use this product. This is really designed for someone that isn't super familiar with the product, could be a beginner or just new to the product, and it's really all about how do you get access to your photos and then start editing. And so what I'm going to do in this video is give a high-level overview of how it is set up, some things that you can do to get started quickly, and show you how you can take advantage of some of the powerful new technology as well as the existing stuff that's in the product. Now, to be clear, there is a whole lot of stuff in On1 Photo Raw 2024, way more than I could ever cover in a single video, much less even 15 or 20 videos. So this is going to be high level, getting started, beginner oriented, and let's get into it. So I'm going to assume you've downloaded the software and you have photos that you can access from your app. And so there's a couple of different things that you can do. You can use On1 to catalog your folders of photos, or you can use it as a browser. I tend to mostly use it as a browser, but the catalog folders will give you basically quicker access to most frequently used, or let's say favorites, things like that. It'll also cache them in the background for quicker access, whereas browse, as the name implies, is essentially a file browser, allowing you to kind of get a look at your photos, and of course you can still edit from either one, browse or catalog. So that's what this is. And then you've also got presets, and I'll show you that here in a moment when we get into photos. Now, there's a number of different things down here. You can set up albums and smart albums, and you can do lots of different things. Again, I won't have time to cover every single bit of this. The user interface has been simplified in this version, making it a bit cleaner and quicker, and I think easier to get up and running. But if you're a previous user, I don't think you'll be confused. You'll easily find what you're looking for. On the left-hand side, I'm on Browse, and below that you've got Edit, which is if you've clicked a photo and then you click Edit, that will take you over to the editing section where you can start making adjustments to your photo. There's also this More menu, and you can see there you've also got quick access to some of the different functions within the editing capability. That's develop, local adjustments, you can read all that. You've also got access to things like layers, HDR, panos, time-lapse, and that would include grabbing multiple photos and then highlighting them and then merging to HDR or building a pano. And again, I'll come back and do videos about some of these specific things, but you have access to all of that from this catalog view. You can also from here export, print, and share to mail, messages, things like that. Now the difference is I've got these three folders that you can see here that are in catalogs, but if I go to browse, it also gives you, you'll notice in catalog, I was highlighted on this Colorado October 2023 folder because I recently went to Colorado to shoot fall foliage. You can see that when I click to browse, it shows me I'm on the same folder. Now if I click to demo files, you'll see I have, this is something I just keep on my desktop. It's a folder full of demo photos that I use to practice before I make videos. If I click back to catalogs, I'm now on demo files. So it keeps me in the same folder if they're available both in browse as well as having been cataloged. I'm gonna go back to this Colorado one, and you see now I've flipped back over to my Colorado folder. Now coming down to the bottom, you've got additional options here, including changing the view. I can change to single view versus the kind of grid view. I'm going to stay in grid view, but you've got adjustments there. And this slider at the bottom actually allows you to increase or decrease the size of the previews that you're seeing here in this grid view. You've also got this option here to jump to different folders or different sections, favorites, folder paths, or recent files. So that's quick access to things that you've previously used. You've got a lot of search capability, including based on text, attributes, faces, and metadata. Over here, you can sort and fave and things like that. Also note that you can fave when you hover over a photo. I could come in here and say, oh, this is a 5-star image. I just clicked it and made it a 5-star image. You'll note also that on the right-hand side, there's info there, and it now shows that it's a fave and a 5-star image. I can undo that because this is not one of those, but I wanted to point out that that's available and they correspond. If you do it on the photo, it will show up over here in the info pane. So now I've scrolled down to a different photo here in my Colorado folder, and I want to pause for a moment and talk about preferences. So if you go up to the On1 menu, there is a preferences option, and I recommend going in here and doing a couple of things. There's a lot of preferences, and again, we won't cover them all in this video, But there's one in particular that I'm a fan of, which is right here. It says double click and browse, and then you can choose either zoom in or open in edit. I prefer to open in edit, which means when I double click on a photo from this grid view, it will launch me into the editing section in On1. That's something I like to do. The other preference that I recommend setting up is on Brilliance AI, which we're going to talk about here in a second. And that is to set white balance default to auto. It could be anything really, but if you set it to auto, that will allow you to get color control while you're also in Brilliance AI. I talked about this in that video if you want to see a short video about that. Once you have those set up, and again, many other preferences here as well, go ahead and click OK, and those are good to go. Now, the other thing to be aware of is in this grid view, I've got the ability to go ahead and start some edits. Brilliance AI is new technology in this new release, and it basically allows you to apply Brilliance AI to a photo or from the grid view, multiple photos, and it will go ahead and automatically create local adjustments with masks and apply those to the photo, making an edit for you. So I can come in here and say tone and color on, and you will see in just a moment that this photo that I've highlighted will make an adjustment to itself based on me having chosen that in Brilliance AI. And there you go. You can see that this photo has had that AI automatically applied to it. It's got local adjustments, which are on, and there's various options that you can go in and adjust. I'm going to undo that because what I want to do is save that for a more advanced demo of Brilliance AI here in a minute. First, I want to talk about metadata and keyword list. So I'm going to close Brilliance AI. And again, we're still in the grid view in this folder, but there's metadata available, and there's lots of different categories. As you can see, I'm going to close them to make it a little bit easier to see. I'm going to turn off the presets. In Basic, you can just see your file name, that sort of thing. You can add descriptions if you want to. Keywords is a powerful thing, and there is Keyword AI, which is another AI function built into On1 Photo Raw. So there are AI keywords that can be applied, and you can also add your own keywords to your images to help you with search. There's EXIF data. You can see all of that here. And by the way, you also get a view of your EXIF data for that exposure right there under this description in the info pane. There's IPTC metadata, so you can come in and add your copyright, things like that. And there's even location data if you want to add that to your photo. I'm going to close that on the metadata panel. And then I mentioned keywords. Here's the keyword list. Some of these I've added myself. Some of these are created automatically by Keyword AI. There's a lot you can do with all of this technology, and it's powerful. And I recommend spending some time on it. But what I want to do now is jumping into develop and how you can go ahead and edit your photos. So another useful feature in On1 is the ability to use presets on your photos. Presets basically is a pre-arranged collection of edits that you can apply to your photo with essentially one click. It's a great way to get started learning the product and see how things are impacting your photos. It's also a good starting point if you want to get going in a creative direction and then apply that and then go in and further refine. So if you have a photo, you can click on the presets menu and you'll see that all of these different preset categories are available. I'm going to go ahead and double click so that I can get into that photo. And then you can also get into the presets menu at the bottom left pane. And there we go. So there's various categories. Here's one called Cold Mountain. And you will notice as I open that preset category, I'm in Cold Mountain. I can come over here and hover over the different preset names, and it will give me a preview of what that looks like on my photo. So maybe I come in here and say that Cold Mountain 11 looks good. I can click to apply that to my photo. And I also have the ability to fade the amount. There's a slider there in presets that will do that for you. So if you like it but don't want all of that effect, you can just use the fade slider to reduce that. Now I can hide the presets pane if I like. And if I go click on the effects tab, you can see these are the different filters that have been applied on that preset: dynamic contrast, color adjustment, curves, and photo filter. So I could come in and refine those or remove them if I wanted to. And we'll get to effects here in a few minutes. But that's how presets work, and they're a useful way to get started on your photo editing journey. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can, because of the preference setting that I made in the preferences panel, I can double click this photo to jump in and start doing my develop work to edit this photo. You can also just hit D and it will take you there automatically. Now, once you're in this full screen view of your photo, you've got more options. You can always click browse, which will take you back to the grid view that you're in. Over here, you've got edit, you've got more, and more will jump you into the specific editing components of that photo, which also these first 5, they correspond to these 5 tabs over here. There's 5 different editing tabs: develop, local, effects, sky, and portrait. We won't cover portrait in this one because it's clearly not a portrait, but all the other things could come into play on a photo like this. And of course, you can get to your share menu. In addition to that, you've got things like crop and transform. You've got masking capability and all that. So again, lots of things you can do. And masking, for example, there's a lot of powerful masking tools in On1. Won't be covering those in this video, but I will talk about local masks because Brilliance AI, which I'm about to demo, does actually create local masks for you. If you're not familiar with masking, it's basically a way to automatically select a portion of a photo, and then you can target and be specific with your adjustments just in that portion of the photo. In other words, it's about control. There's lots of different ways to do masks, but Brilliance AI will allow you to do them automatically, and then you can further customize if you'd like. Now, once you get here, you'll also notice that there's different views up here. There's navigation, and so that's the ability. You could zoom in and you can see that, and then you can move this around the photo if you'd like to. You'll notice that one click will zoom you into the photo and one click will zoom you back out. There's levels, and this represents your histogram, which is the distribution of light in the photo. There's info, shot with the Sony, all that sort of thing. You can see that. There's history, which says, here's what I've done to the photo. I can see that I haven't done anything. There's also snapshots, which basically allows you to save and edit and then take a snapshot of it and then go in and further refine that. So if you like an edit, but you're not sure if you want to do more or not, you can create a snapshot and then keep editing, and then you can always return to that previous snapshot if you want to. I'll just go back to actually levels. I like to keep the histogram handy. Now there's layers panel. Layers, again, a separate video will be needed about layers, but one of the nice new things is you have the ability to adjust the size of this layers panel, and you can also add text as a layer, giving you more control over masking and further refinements to that text within the photo. I won't be doing any layers with this photo. This is just going to be a simple edit because, again, we're keeping it pretty high level to get you started with your edits in On1 Photo Raw 2024. Now I'm going to close this menu on Brilliance AI, and you will notice when you're on the Develop tab, there's basically 5 different sections. Brilliance AI, which is, I think, the best way to get started on your photo edit. I'll show you that in a minute. There's tone and color, and you can see here there's a lot of different things. And again, that's why I said there's so many different aspects of On1. It's great, and it's powerful, and it gives you a ton of control. But take your time, get familiar with these things. Start with Brilliance AI. You can further refine your image edit with tone and color, and then local and effects are additional ways to come in and further refine and finalize your edit. But tone is going to give you all this exposure and control over the light. Structure is going to help you improve or add detail. Color, of course, is going to be about white balance and saturation and vibrance. Very powerful, and I'll show you this in a minute. When you use Brilliance AI, it makes adjustments to tone and color. You'll see that in a minute. Noise and sharpening, you've got No Noise AI, which is AI-based noise reduction. You've got Tack Sharp AI, which is AI-based deblur and sharpening, or you can use both. Won't be doing those in this video, but there's a lot you can do there to really take control over removing noise and ensuring that you have a really crisp image. Lots of power and lots of control. Lens correction allows you to adjust for any lens differences. Some of them may have a little bit of distortion or vignetting. Those things can be removed quite easily with lens correction, and you have a lengthy list of lens options to choose from. It will automatically identify the majority of them for you. And then transform is for fixing things like tilted verticals. If you're shooting architecture or building a church or house with a wide angle lens, it might look like it's leaning back. You can straighten it with transform. So having said all that, let's get into Brilliance AI. It's one click, and when you do that, you will see it automatically creates an edited photo for you. You can click on that once, and you will drop down into a few things. There's the main category here. There's local adjustments, and then there's options. I'm going to leave options alone. I'm just going to let that be, but I recommend experimenting that if you would like to. But Brilliance AI, it automatically makes tone and color adjustments across your photo. Remember, the color is not going to be turned on unless in options you have auto white balance. That's a key thing. And again, that's what that previous video that I mentioned was about. Auto white balance will give you this tone, or excuse me, this color control. So as I pull this down, you can see that I'm reducing the intensity of the color adjustment. And at 100, it's pretty intense. Season to taste, that's what the sliders are for. Tone is also the ability to come in and adjust the tones, right? So at 0, I'm getting essentially none, and at 100, I'm getting all of it. And then the amount slider is going to be the overall amount of a combination of tone and color. So that defaults to right in the middle, and I recommend sliding these around, seasoning to taste, and finding what looks good for you on your photo. Now with Brilliance AI, you've got these regions. It'll automatically identify things like flora and people and skies, but it doesn't, in this case, automatically identify a mountain. Now the tone and color adjustments, they will apply across the entire photo. But if you want to be really specific and targeted, you can click on this regions dropdown, and you will see that the AI, which is built into On1, is identifying the mountain, but Brilliance AI doesn't automatically create the mask for it. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add that and click apply. And in just a second, there you go. You will see I've got mountain here selected. And then I can come in and individually control what's happening just in the mountain. Now, if I want further control, you will notice there's an arrow next to mountain, and when I hover, an arrow next to sky. Keep in mind, I'm on local adjustments here, and what that means is that actually corresponds to this tab called local. The local adjustments that Brilliance AI is creating, it's creating a mask, and it's creating those same adjustments over here on the local adjustments tab. Let me collapse that, and you can see I've got Brilliance AI for the sky, and I got Brilliance AI for the mountain. So now I can click on one of these. Let's click on mountain, and I can come in and I can make further refinements. You will see all these adjustments that have been made here were done automatically by the AI, but I can come in and further refine it or season to taste, and I can even add more local adjustments if I'd like to. So I just want to point out that the local and what's happening here in Brilliance AI in this regions section, those are the same things. Brilliance AI is doing it for you automatically, but you can click on that arrow to go directly to an individual adjustment like mountain. I had it collapsed, and I can further refine that if I want to. So lots of power, lots of control, and lots of things that you can do with your image edits. Now let's say if you're happy with that, but you want to come check out the overall tone and color, that's where you come into here, and you can look at tones overall. And you will now notice that all of these tone sliders have been adjusted based on Brilliance AI coming in and doing that for me. So I can come in here and adjust contrast. And as you can see, that's going to impact the entire image. I could lift the highlights. That's probably going to brighten the sky a little bit because that's where the highlights are. And I could lift midtones, and these are impacting the entire image. So in other words, I'm further refining or customizing what Brilliance AI did to my photo. If I'm happy with that, I can just kind of close that. And remember, I've still got my local adjustments with the masks. By the way, white and black that show here, as I hover, it says show and hide masking options. I'll have to cover masking and some of the different masking options in different videos, but just keep in mind that white reveals and black conceals. So if you click on this, it will open up the masking menu, and down here you can see a representation of the mask. I can click on this little goggles icon, and it says view mask, and you can see what my mask looks like. White reveals, so my edit is being revealed where it's white, that's the sky, and black conceals. My edit is being concealed, or my edit is not applying where it's black, that's the mountain. Keep in mind the reason why it's black and white is I'm on sky, so sky is being impacted with this local adjustment, and the mountain is not. The next thing would be effects. This is a tab where you can go in and add filters to impact your image. You can either apply them across the entire image, or you can apply them selectively with masks. By the way, you can also copy the masks from local adjustments. So I could come over here and I could go to mountain, and I clicked on the masking menu, and I can click here to copy mask. So I've now copied this mask from the mountain. So I've got that mask kind of in my clipboard. I can go to effects, and I can add a filter. And let's say I want to add some dynamic contrast, but I don't want it across the entire photo. I just want it on the mountain. Well, I can come over here and click on this mask, and I can click here, which says paste mask. And now you can see my mask, which let me click to view that. White reveals, black conceals. So again, I'm just copying the mask that was automatically created for me by Brilliance AI. I copy that mask. I'm now applying it on the effects tab. So you can essentially copy and paste and recycle these masks, which is going to make it easier for you to edit your photos because On1 Brilliance AI is taking care of some of the mask creation for you. And now I've got dynamic contrast applied just to the mountains and not to the sky. And then I can come in here and further refine that. There's lots of different filters here. And again, you can't possibly cover these in a single video, but there's lots of things that you can do. And you can also come in here and automatically identify regions like sky or mountain. If you didn't copy the mask, it will automatically identify those for you. I could highlight that, pick a filter, and apply that filter to that highlighted area. And the last section would be sky, and that would be if you wanted to replace the sky. This was a beautiful sunset. I definitely do not want to do that. But if you click on the sky tab, it will automatically mask the sky. You'll get into the masking menu and be able to choose a sky to go replace this one with if you would like to. But it automatically finds that sky area and will place that new sky for you in that space. And that's really my high-level kind of overview of what you can do. If you're happy with this edit, you can always just click the check mark down there, and I'm returned back to my grid view in my catalog folder with an edited photo. Lots of power, lots of control, frankly, just a lot of fun that you can have editing your photos in On1 2024. PhotoRaw is just a great product. There's a lot of capability, and yes, I will be coming back creating more videos about different features and functions. This was designed as a high-level, getting started beginner guide to On1 PhotoRaw 2024. I hope it helps you get started editing your photos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, my friends. You guys take care, and until next time, adios.